Sir, you are not audible. Even your screen share has been stopped.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Thanks for pointing that out, Lakshay. What happened? Why was my audio and video paused? I think it was operational a few minutes back.
Yes, it was, but now it is not. I think just such a
Acha.
glitch.
Okay, okay. So let me just briefly tell you, we had discussed last time a few case studies on a long-term capital management hedge fund and Barings Bank. Barings Bank, I was telling you, was failed entirely. The bank went bankrupt because of one rogue trader who was trading on behalf of the bank in Singapore. He was investing and trading large amounts. Plus, he was taking excessive amount of leverage. He was investing in derivatives, and when the Japanese market crashed, when the Japanese stock market collapsed due to an earthquake in Japan in the late 1990s, the entire bank suffered huge losses, and which was at that point of time unknown to any other person in the entire organization. Nobody got to know what this trader was doing, how he aggressively he was trading in the Japanese markets, because he was the only person responsible for reconciliation and also for the front end. He was doing the trading. He was also checking the ledger and the accounts and everything. So nobody was. There were not enough checks and balances in place, and ultimately this led to the collapse of the entire Barings Bank, which was a 200-year-old bank. This case study again serves as an example for all of us that if such a event can happen to a huge bank, a 200-year-old bank, Barings Bank, it can happen to small organizations much more quickly if proper checks and balances are not kept in place. Right. So we need to take leverage very carefully. If you're trading in derivatives, leverage has to be taken in a very careful manner because it can compound, it can magnify your profits, but it can at the same time magnify your losses also. Plus, market risk has to be dealt with in a careful manner. Market is always subject to a lot of risk, and if you're not diversifying your investments properly, if you're taking large position sizes, that can lead to huge losses. Operational risk was also a point which we discussed. Since there was not enough checks and balances in place, this one person was given too much power, and ultimately he used this power in the incorrect manner. He was trading too aggressively, which ultimately led to the collapse of the entire bank. Now, the third case study which we were talking about was of GameStop.
Sir,
GameStop
are you
was an
sharing something?
sorry.
Are you sharing a screen?
Yes, yes, I have shared my screen.
It is not visible.
I think I can see it's still sharing.
Not visible, sir.
I've shared it once again. Can you see it
Yes,
now?
now it is visible. Yes.
Right. These are the few case studies that we have discussed. Long-term capital management hedge fund, Barings Bank, and GameStop was an organization in US. They were selling video games and all in the early 2000s. And but gradually over time, they couldn't keep pace with the consumer demands. Their business model was fading, and they were incurring losses also. So the share price kept on going down and down gradually over time. It fell from above $100 to less than $5, and a huge investments, huge trading was taking place. A lot of big institutions like hedge funds were taking short positions in this GameStop stock. So they were shorting the stock very aggressively, thinking that it'll keep going down. But there was ultimately a short squeeze where the price suddenly started jumping up from below $3 and it went up above $300. So imagine a rise of 100, more than 100 times in a span of less than 1 year took place. And the people who had shorted this ultimately suffered losses. And there was a hedge fund name by the name of Melvin Capital, a huge hedge fund managing billions of dollars, also had to go bankrupt. As a result of this, they were not able to close their positions quickly, and they kept on holding to this stock, this short position for a long time. And ultimately, due to the excessive leverage involved in derivatives, they were they had to close down. Yes, Lakshay, you had a question?
Sir, I still don't clearly understand what is the meaning of short position. They are in short position.
Okay, short position. For the benefit of people who, that's a very commonly used term in finance, but I'll explain it very in a easy manner. Basically, when you think that the stock is going to go up, you can simply buy the stock, or you can buy the futures contract or the call option or sell the put option. We discussed all of this last time also. But when you are bearish on the stock, when you believe the stock price is going to fall, maybe as a result of the declining profitability or the declining sales, you have a negative view on the on a particular stock. What you can do is you can sell the stock first and buy it later on, expecting it to go down in value. You can sell it first and buy it later on. This is known as short selling. But the question might be coming to your mind, how can we sell something if we don't have it? It's simply you borrow it from your broker. The broker will lend the stock to you. You sell it first in the market, and ultimately, when it has fallen in price, you will buy it back and give the stock back to your broker. This is how short selling works. And if the stock price has fallen during this entire process, you end up making profits because you've sold at a higher price and you buy it back at a later at a lower price. However, if it goes up, you can suffer losses, and this loss, theoretically at least, can be unlimited. The stock can keep going up in price. Let's say you sold at 5 rupees and it goes up to 5,000 rupees or 50,000 rupees or 5 lakh rupees. Your loss is theoretically unlimited. So short selling can be risky, but if not done properly, and if you've taken excessive leverage, what people do is they can even sell the futures where you are getting the benefit of leverage. You can, if you are having 1 lakh rupees, you can sell shares worth approximately 5 lakh rupees, right? So your profits and your losses will ultimately be magnified exponentially by 5 times. This is the risk involved with short selling, and that is one strategy used commonly by hedge funds. Hedge funds are, you might have heard about this term very commonly. Hedge fund is something similar to a mutual fund, but they're taking a greater amount of risk. They're also involved in short selling. They try to maximize the profits because the investors who are investing in these hedge funds are not small retail investors like all of us. They're not contributing 500 rupees or 5,000 rupees. They're contributing lakhs and crores of rupees. That's why the hedge fund has can afford to take greater risk, since they're dealing with people who are much more wealthy. They are having high net worth individuals as clients, so ultimately they can afford to take greater risk. And short selling is a technique used by hedge funds like Melvin Capital and like hedge funds like long term capital management. I hope this is clear, Lakshay.
Yes, sir. My view is clear.
Fine. So GameStop is a reminder for all of us that market risk again has to be taken into consideration. Market is volatile, it can keep going up and down, and you should plan accordingly given the uncertainty with respect to the equity markets. Then unsystematic risk was there. Since companies like Melvin Capital, hedge funds like Melvin Capital were aggressively trading in one particular security only. They were not properly diversified across a range of securities. So this kind of situation of unsystematic risk, which is a risk specific to one particular company or one particular industry, can be there definitely. That's why we say don't keep all your eggs in the same basket. You have to diversify to spread out your risk across different assets and securities. Then excessive leverage again is a risk which was posed in this case study to companies who are trading in GameStop. And this short squeeze, again, just to elaborate, happened because once the stock price starts rising after a long time, if it has fallen a lot and then it suddenly starts rising, people who have short sold the stock, ultimately their profits are getting reduced and they start panicking. They close their position. And how will they close the position? By buying back the stock. If all the short sellers start buying back the stock, that can push push up the price very quickly, and this phenomena is known as short squeeze, which happened in the case of GameStop. Now the fourth case study that we were looking at was the global subprime mortgage crisis of 2008, also known as the global recession, the second largest crisis, financial crisis that the world has seen in the past century. after the Great Depression, obviously in the 1929. This is the second biggest crisis which happened. And during this, we discussed why it happened and everything. But ultimately, it's again serving as an example that markets are quite volatile. Interest rates can move up and down. Growth rates, GDP growth rates can go increase and decrease. Similarly, inflation can rise and fall. Currencies can appreciate and depreciate very quickly. So since markets are volatile, we need to handle and manage the risk very, very carefully. What happened here was that banks were giving out loans very aggressively to all kinds of borrowers. They were giving out home loans, and the interest rates at that time during the 2000 early 2000s were quite low. So everyone was taking loans to buy houses, and banks were also giving out loans to all the borrowers because they had this backing of mortgage-backed securities and collateralized debt obligations and credit default swaps, because of which their risk was passed on to the investors. If banks buy or banks sell these mortgage-backed securities or asset-backed securities or collateralized debt obligations, these are some terms that we have discussed earlier. If they are selling these instruments to the investors, in a way, they're passing their credit default risk onto the investors. The people can default, the borrowers can default on the loans that they have taken. This risk is originally being borne by the bank only. But if they sell off all these securities, these mortgage-backed securities to the investors, their risk is being passed on to the investors. And due to this safety that they had in the form of these mortgage-backed securities, they were lending indiscriminately to everyone. All kinds of borrowers were getting loans, even if they did not have a proper credit score or proper credit history. They were getting loans by the banks quite easily. The problem started when the interest rates started going up. That's when people's EMI also started going rising. If you have an EMI of 50,000 and suddenly it goes up to 1.5 or 2 lakh rupees, you will obviously find it difficult to repay. And some people might end up defaulting. That's exactly what happened. A lot of people were defaulting in US. Banks ultimately had to go and sell off the collateral that they had taken. They had taken some collateral, some properties as collaterals. When all the banks are selling these collateral properties and nobody is there to buy, what do you think will happen? They will be unable to recover the property value. Let's say they're auctioning a flat for worth 1 crore rupees and there are no buyers there in the market. They may have to settle for only 25 or 30 lakh rupees. So how will you repay? How will the investors get repaid? How will the banks get repaid? How will the insurance companies get repaid? That's the kind of situation which was there during the 2008 crisis. Due to the rise in the interest rates, EMIs spiked. People started defaulting. Went to sell off the properties, the collaterals, and when there is nobody there to buy or very less buyers are there for real estate, ultimately the property prices will crash, and that will lead to this bursting of the entire housing bubble. It led to huge losses for the investors who had invested in these mortgage-backed securities. It led to huge losses for insurance companies who had provided insurance against credit default in the form of these credit default swaps. And it led to losses for even banks. Some of the investment banks went bankrupt, like you might have heard about Lehman Brothers and Bear Stearns. And this was the entire scenario. So this is again serving as a reminder for all of us that market risk is going to be there. We have to manage it in an effective manner. Credit risk is associated when you're lending out as a financial institution, as a bank or as a NBFC. Whenever loans are being given out, there is some credit default risk involved with it. That again has to be done in a very careful manner. Who is getting the loans, if they have enough repayment capability, whether they are providing sufficient amount of collateral. All of these are considerations which the banks and the NBFC have to keep in mind. Then interest rate risk was also again another factor which led to this entire collapse. Now, all these case studies that we had discussed last time, whether it is long-term capital management hedge fund, whether it is Barings Bank, or whether it is GameStop and Melvin Capital Hedge Fund, or even the global subprime crisis, are serving as examples to us that anything can happen in the financial markets. Even big institutions, big hedge funds, big banks, big investment banks, and even insurance companies can go bankrupt. So imagine if you're a small startup, if you're working at a small startup, or if you're running a small enterprise, things are even more risky for you. These people, these big companies, corporates have lot of contingency funds, they have emergency funds, they have capital which can be infused by other entities. So despite all this support, if these companies and investment banks and hedge funds are going bankrupt, then small companies need to be even more careful. Given the market risk, given the liquidity risk, given operational risk, and all other kinds of financial risk, the credit default risk, and various other things which are there in the overall financial system. Fine. Anyone has a question regarding this? Any doubts regarding this? Just let me know. This is something that we had discussed last time. Some of you couldn't join because the details of the class were not posted properly on the website. But that's the reason I've once again briefly explained whatever we have discussed. And then we went on to discuss about derivatives. If anyone has a question about these case studies, you can ask me right now. Fine. Then let's move on to the derivatives. We had spoken about futures, options, swaps, forwards. These are some instruments in the derivative markets which can be traded and can be used for hedging or reducing the risk. They can also be used for speculation or using your analysis to make a profit. It can also be used as arbitrage opportunity where you use the mispricing to your advantage to make a profit. Practically, it's a riskless profit because you're trying to exploit a discrepancy or mispricing in the financial markets. Now, futures are an obligation. They are not a right, but an obligation to buy or sell a particular asset at a particular price at a particular date in the future. Right? I'll repeat once again. Futures are obligations, not rights, to buy or sell a particular asset at a particular price at a particular date in the future. So your price is fixed right now in advance. Every future and option contract has an expiry date. Similarly, forwards contract also have an expiry date. And by that expiry date, if the price rises or falls, you'll make your gain or loss accordingly. If whether you've bought or sold a future will again will be based on your view of the market or your analysis of the market. Now, options, on the other hand, are rights. They are not obligations. Option is a right. It's a option given to you whether you want to buy or sell a particular security or asset at a particular price at a particular date in the future. So options are, I'll repeat once again, options are rights but not obligations to buy or sell a particular asset at a particular price at a particular date in the future. So there can be two kinds of options, call and put options, where call options give you the right to buy while put options give you the right to sell. If you are bullish on the market, which option will you buy? If you're bullish on the market or a particular asset class, will you buy call option or put option? It'll be, the answer is, I think a lot of you might be knowing already. That's a very basic question. Call option is giving you right to buy. So your price is already locked in. If the price rises, obviously you can use your option to buy it at a lower price. So that's the reason if you're bullish on the stock or a particular asset, you'll be buying the call option. If you're bearish or you have a negative outlook, you'll be buying a put option, which is the right to sell. Your selling price is already locked in. That's you'll only do that once you have a negative view on the market. If you believe the price is going to fall, you would like to lock in your price right now. Similarly, for futures, if you're bullish on a particular asset, you would be buying a futures contract, while if you're bearish on that particular security, you will be selling the futures contract. Futures is again locking in your price going forward. Yes, any doubts, any questions in this? Now, call and put options can be used in an isolated way. You can either buy or sell a call or a put option depending on your analysis or view of the market, but it can also be used together. You can buy both call and put options. If you don't know which direction the market is heading in, and you believe that there's going to be a strong move, but you don't know the direction. It may be in a positive direction or in a negative direction. You can buy both the options. On the other hand, if you know that the market is going to stay within a range, it's not going to move up substantially or move down substantially, you can sell both the options as well. So these are known as, combination strategies. You can use spreads as well. You can buy one call option, at the money call option. You can sell one out of the money put a call option. So these kind of combination strategies or spread strategies can also be used depending on your view of the market. So we can discuss this at a later point of time. If anyone has a problem in this in derivatives, at least you should be knowing the basics of derivatives for now. What are derivatives? What are the different kinds of derivatives? The functions of derivatives, the advantages and disadvantages of using derivative contracts should be clear to you. If anyone has a problem, let me know right now. Otherwise, we'll be discussing something even more interesting. We'll be going into the trading and discussing how risk management, this subject, can be applied when you're building your own investing portfolio or your trading portfolio. That's what we'll be discussing today. Anyone has a problem right now, just ask me. If you have a question in the case studies or in F&O or in derivatives, you can ask me right now. These are some of the things that we were discussing in the last class. I'm repeating for the benefit of people who couldn't join last time. We had very few students who were attending the class. That's why I've repeated this thing. Today, we'll be covering a really practically useful topic. So I'll try and give you my perspective also from my years of experience. I have been, investing for more than 15, 20 years, almost 20 years now. And I've been trading for around 2 or 3 years very aggressively. Mm. Now, the rules that you need to follow in trading with respect to risk management. As you know, if you're building a stock portfolio or a mutual fund portfolio or you're trading in derivatives, you'd be interested in firstly the returns. The returns are quite important to all of us. We would want a return maybe greater than 10, 15, 20%. Or if you're trading very, very aggressively, you might expect even higher, 30, 40% as well. Every single year on FD, you get around 5, 6% only. In equities, obviously, there's much more risk involved. So given the greater degree of risk, your expectations of returns would be greater. You'd expect maybe 15 or 20% return. Um, but is risk the only criteria you will be looking at if you're investing or trading in stock market? Is risk the only criteria, return the only criteria, or risk is equally important? Don't you think so? Return is only one side of the coin. The other side is the risk as well. If you're getting 10% return, but you're taking 100 times more risk, nobody will be satisfied with it. Because easily you can get 6, 7% if you're investing in FDs or you're investing in PPF or some other instrument, you can easily get 6, 7%. Why would you take on 100 times more risk just to get this extra 2 or 3% return? Right. So this degree of risk is also equally important. If we had this subject last time, security analysis portfolio management, where we discussed this theory of modern portfolio theory, also known as Markowitz theory. It was given by Harry Markowitz, who has also received the Nobel Prize for this. Now, the modern portfolio theory tells you about how to reduce the risk on your portfolio. You can diversify between assets, between different securities. And if these securities or assets are having low correlation with each other or inverse correlation with each other, that will be better for you from a diversification perspective. If they're very strongly positively correlated, then obviously that's not such a big advantage in terms of risk reduction or in terms of diversification. If you invest all your money in 10 different companies and all these 10 companies are belonging to the IT sector, you invest in TCS stock, also you invest in Infosys, Wipro, HCL Tech, Tech Mahindra, you invest in all 10 IT companies. That's not giving you enough diversification benefit. If something happens to the tariffs, Trump is, very, very unpredictable. He can do anything anytime. So if something happens to the tariffs, or if something happens to the currency, if rupee starts appreciating, then all the companies will be adversely impacted. All the companies in your portfolio, and you will start seeing huge red. All the time you'll be seeing red in your portfolio because all 10 companies are belonging to the same sector. That's the reason. Only increasing the number of companies, or the number of stocks, or the number of securities, or the number of assets in your portfolio is not sufficient. You also have to see the interrelation between these different assets, whether they are positively correlated or inversely correlated with each other. In terms of diversification, if the securities are inversely correlated, and that too very strongly inversely correlated, that's going to give you much more benefit in terms of risk reduction and diversification. So that's one point we want to discuss. In risk, there is this theory called modern portfolio theory. Given by Harry Markowitz. You should know about this, being finance students now in fourth semester. You should be aware of what is modern portfolio theory. You should also know what is capital asset pricing model. That gives you the relation between risk and expected returns. If you're taking on greater risk, you expect to get higher compensation. But that return, extra return, is not always guaranteed. So CAPM. These are something, the theories related to risk that you need to know. But today we'll go beyond risk. We won't only discuss what are the different theories related to risk. This we've already looked at in the previous semester. When we were talking about security analysis, we took up these topics in far more detail. Today, our main focus is on the practical aspects of trading. How you can reduce the risk on your portfolio, and how do you firstly measure the risk? How do you analyze the risk? There are some measures like standard deviation beta that we have spoken about in the previous semester, and even in this semester. We were discussing about VAR margin, value at risk margin. So there we spoke about standard deviation. Risk can be measured in the form of standard deviation, in the form of beta, and various other measures can be used. But ultimately, our objective should be to maximize our returns for a given level of risk, or minimize our risk for a desired level of return. I'll repeat once again, as investors, all of us have this basic objective of maximizing our returns for a given level of risk. If two securities are having the same level of risk, you'll obviously choose the one giving you higher expected returns. And our also, other objective is also to minimize the risk for a desired level of return. If we want to get a return of 15% or 20%, we would want to choose the security or the asset which is having the lowest degree of risk. This is also as per the modern portfolio theory. Now, how do you manage your risk? If you're building a trading portfolio, can you guys tell me how many securities should you be having? What is the ideal number of securities you should be having in your portfolio?
10, sir.
10. Okay. Samarth is saying 10. Anyone else? Everyone agrees it should be 10. Why not 20, Samarth? Why not 2000?
Difficult to manage, sir.
Okay. Okay. Right. There are two main points. Firstly, you need to reduce the risk, but you also have to make it manageable. If you include 1,000, 2,000 securities, obviously it's impossible for anyone to manage unless it's being done by the softwares or algos. For retail trader, not using technology so much, we would be unable to manage such a large number of securities. Even managing 20 securities is going to be quite difficult for any of us. If you do your fundamental analysis, if you do your technical analysis, we all know it takes time. It's not as simple. Obviously, with experience, it'll take less and less time. But then, at least for analyzing any particular security, you'll have to do some research, which will take time and effort. Our time is limited. Our effort is limited. We have to, focus on studies. We also have to do a lot of gossip. We have to watch reels on Instagram. So why waste our time on 100 securities? The second reason is also that the benefit of diversification starts going down as you increase more and more securities. Initially, when you increase a few securities, the benefit of diversification rises exponentially. Your diversification is rising exponentially. If you go from one to two security in your portfolio, that is going to increase dramatically your diversification. If you go from two to four, again, it's going to improve, but at a lower rate. And then if you go from 4 to 8, that's again going to lead to an increase, a rise in your diversification benefit. But that is also going to reduce in terms of the slope is going to reduce. And ultimately, if you go beyond 10, 15, 20 securities, there is no longer any additional benefit, provided these 10, 15 securities that you are including are from different sectors of the market. If you have all the 10 stocks belonging to pharmaceutical sector or from FMCG sector, then obviously there's going to be a problem. These 10 securities are not enough to give you enough diversification. But if you have stake in different sectors in the form of these different securities, 10 or 15 is a sufficient number for majority of the people. And going beyond 20 is that there's going to be a plateauing of the benefit. There's going to be मतलब उसके बाद तो कोई benefit का ज़्यादा बढ़ने वाला नहीं है. That's the main point. And also the transaction cost is one more practical aspect we'll have to consider. If you include these 20 different stocks in your portfolio and compare that to 100 different securities, for each of the security, you will be paying a lot of transaction costs in the form of brokerage fee. They'll most of the brokers are charging around 20 rupees, 20 rupees when you're buying, 20 rupees when you're selling as well. Then there are demat charges for whenever you're putting something into demat and selling it, you'll be paying demat charges as well. There are also this stamp duty, there is security transaction tax. If you're dealing in commodities, there is commodity transaction tax. All of these can add up significantly to a large number. और capital में हमारा limited है. If we have 1 lakh rupees to invest and you're spreading across 100 different securities, you're hardly putting in 1,000 rupees in every stock. And all the time, whenever you're entering and exiting in any particular security, you're paying straight away 10, 100 or 200 rupees every single time. So why pay extra 20% on that 1,000 rupee investment? 20% for you to recover, for you to only break even, it will take the next 1 or 2 years just to break even. Right. So why waste this precious time and limited capital on so many diverse securities? That's the entire point. So this is one thing which should be clear to us. Diversification up to a limit is okay. Beyond that, this over diversification is not going to lead to any additional risk reduction. The other thing, this is about diversification. The next thing, let's come to another aspect. If you have 1 lakh rupees, let's say, to do your trading, it can be trading for short term. We'll refer to trading for short term. We'll talk about investing for long term. But even in investing, you're actually trading only. So let's say you have 1 lakh rupees and you have decided to spread across 20 different stocks. Or maybe you want to trade in, somebody wants to become a short-term trader. You want to trade in a contract which is going to require a margin of 10,000 rupees. As you know, if you're dealing in derivatives or even if you're doing intraday trading, you can get some benefit in the form of leverage from your broker. If you have 1 lakh rupees, you can trade a contract approximately worth 5 lakh rupees. That is the benefit of leverage given to you by the brokers. Now, if you have this 1 lakh rupees and you can trade contracts worth 5 lakh rupees, the margin requirement for each of the contracts, let's say, is around 5,000 rupees. Should you allocate your entire capital right now? Or how will you decide how much to allocate to that particular trade? We want to make one trade in our account. Every single day, we want to make 1 or 2 trades. And we need to decide how much quantity to trade. That's a very critical question. You cannot go and trade with all your capital at the same time. It can be done. If you are doing it in a calculated way, it can be done. But your calculation has to be in place first. So the question to you guys is, how do we select the right position size? Can anyone tell me? कितना ट्रेड करना चाहिए? What quantity should you be trading? If the margin, let's say, required is 5,000 or 10,000 rupees, then what is the position size that you should be using? How will you proceed to calculate this? This is one interesting question. एक एग्जाम्पल ही लेते हैं to make things much more clear. Let's say you're trading in a crude oil contract. Crude oil में आजकल बहुत volatility आ रही है. Trump is posting on social media and it is driving the markets crazy. They're moving up and down. तो अगर कोई somebody is trading in crude oil contract, and let's say the crude oil mini contract on MCX multi commodity exchange is requiring a margin of around 30,000 rupees. So what is the quantity and the crude oil contract, let's say, is worth around 8,000 rupees. That is the current price of the contract, and the quantity for each contract, the lot size is around 10. You want to know, I actually want to know from you, what would be the right position size? Should you trade one lot of crude oil mini? Should you trade two lots? Obviously 0.25 or 0.5 lots is not possible. You can only trade in whole numbers. So either one lots or two lots or three lots, or maybe more. You can maybe take some capital from your parents and trade in 5 or 10 lots. How do you decide the right quantity to trade? Anyone would like to explain this? Somebody who's trading can maybe probably answer this. Samarth or Lakshay? Yes. What about the
No,
rest?
sir, I'm not trading.
Anybody involved in trading or in investing? Long-term investing to karna hi chahiye. Even if you have very limited capital, let's say you have 500 or 1,000 or 5,000 rupees that you can spare every single month, do that. At least make an SIP with that. If you're not comfortable with direct equity investing, invest through mutual funds. But at least being finance students, this is the one basic habit that you should try and cultivate, which is to invest regularly. If you're not comfortable directly in equities, then go through mutual funds. Now, anyone who's trading who can answer or who can help answer this question, how do you decide the quantity for a F&O or derivative segment? If somebody is trading in derivatives, somebody is trading crude oil contracts on multi-commodity exchange, how do you decide the lot size, quantity size? कितना हमें lots trade करना है, whether it is one lot, two lot, three lots or more lots, how will you decide this? This is completely part of risk management. हम ये देखेंगे कि हमारा कैपिटल 1 लाख रुपए का है अभी, और हम what is the loss that we are comfortable with having every single day? What is the loss that we are comfortable with having? Generally the number is around 1 to 2%. You would not want to lose more than 1 to 2% in any single day. That's the general rule. But if you are having less capital, let's say you have less than 1 lakh rupees, this rule can even be made a little flexible to about 3%. तो कोई भी 3,000 से ज्यादा, nobody wants to lose more than 3,000 in one single day. That's your entire plan if you're having this 3% risk capacity. तो हमारे पास 1 लाख रुपए है, हम 3,000 रुपए से ज्यादा we don't want to lose in any single day. So this 3,000 rupee is going to act as your reference point. अब हमें 3,000 रुपए नहीं लूज कर रहे हैं किसी भी एक दिन में एक ट्रेड में. That's the first thing we need to know. Whether it is 3,000, 2,000, 1,000 will depend on your amount of capital, will also depend on your risk tolerance overall and your overall strategy. So 3,000 is one thing that we have decided. We don't want to lose more than 3,000. And we know that the margin required is 30,000 rupees for crude oil. So how many maximum lots you can buy of crude oil? What is the maximum number of lots that you can buy? Yes, 3,000 is the 30,000 is the margin required by the broker to buy or sell one lot of crude oil. So how many lots can you buy? It is 3 lots. The answer is 1 lakh divided by 30,000. 3.33. Obviously, it has to be in whole numbers. You will be buying 3 quantities. That is the maximum you can buy. So the question now arises, should you buy all 3 lots, or should you take loan from your parents or friends and trade 6 lots, or should you settle for less than 3 lots? This answer depends on this 3,000 figure that you have decided कि 3,000 से ज्यादा हमें लॉस नहीं करना है. तो अब दूसरी चीज हमें क्या चाहिए? वी नीड द स्टॉप लॉस एंड द टारगेट, विच इज अ कॉन्सेप्ट नोन एज रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशो. हमें 3 चीजें चाहिए ओवरऑल. फाइन, आई एम राइटिंग इट राइट नाउ. फर्स्ट इज रिस्क रिवॉर्ड. Second is stop loss. And third is margin, or let's say the overall capital. तो हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी अगर हम देखें, हमने कोई एक स्ट्रैटेजी बनाई है जिसमें हमारा एक टारगेट होगा, हमारा एक स्टॉप लॉस होगा. स्टॉप लॉस इज below that price. If let's say you're buying a particular commodity like crude oil, if it falls below a particular price, you'll exit your position कि ठीक है, I have taken the loss, I'll exit. तो अगर हमारा स्टॉप लॉस जहां पे भी है, लेट्स से हमने एक टारगेट बनाया, I'll just show you, I'll share my screen, show you how it is done. Let you're able to see the screen. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So in this, if let's say you are bullish on this particular gold petal commodity, it can be used for any other stock or any other asset or commodity. Let's say we are bullish on this. अब हमें लगता है कि ये at least it can go up to this high level of 15,300, 335. Approximately it can go to 15,335. And you're trading on maybe 15-minute charts or whatever. If you're an intraday trader, you will be trading using 5-minute or 15-minute charts most probably. तो अब हम एक रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशियो बनाते हैं यहाँ पे. You want to go long in the stock. You are bullish on the stock, so you'll be going long. If you're bearish, you'll be going short on the stock. तो हमारा टारगेट हमने बना लिया यहाँ पे. This is, let's say we are entering right now. We say that we believe that this stock has the potential of going up till here. Let me just remove everything else as of now. You believe the stock has a potential of going around up to around 15,336, and you believe the stock will not fall below this level of 15,250. Right now you're entering at 15,280. You believe the stock will not go below 15,250, and your target is around 15,336. This is a risk reward ratio of approximately 2 times. जितना हम रिस्क ले रहे हैं उससे 2 गुना हम प्रॉफिट लेना चाह रहे हैं. So risk reward ratio is 1:2. If you're losing 1 rupee, you're planning to gain 2 rupees. ठीक है, अब हमने देख लिया कि हमारा इतना लॉस मैक्सिमम हो सकता है, विच इज हाउ मच? 280 से लेकर के 250, मतलब कि 30 रुपीज का अप्रोक्सीमेटली हमारा लॉस हो सकता है, और फायदा अराउंड 60 रुपए का हो सकता है. दैट इज व्हाट वी हैव कैलकुलेटेड. फाइन, नाउ वी कम बैक टू द कैलकुलेशन. The calculation is simple. You have to see, I never want to lose more than 3,000 rupees. In this trade, अगर ये 30 रुपए का हमारा लॉस हो सकता है, और इसमें क्वांटिटी इसकी हर एक लॉट का, दिस इज एक लॉट का क्वांटिटी लेट्स से 100 है. हर लॉट में क्वांटिटी होती है, एक फिक्स होती है, डिपेंड्स ऑन द कमोडिटी, डिपेंड्स ऑन द टाइप ऑफ कॉन्ट्रैक्ट, बट लेट्स से वी आर अज्यूमिंग राइट नाउ इट्स 100. तो 30 रुपए का नुकसान जो होगा वो 3,000 रुपए का नुकसान हो जाएगा. ठीक है, is it clear? There are 100 quantity in one lot. So if you are trading one lot and the stop loss is 30 rupees, you will be losing 3,000 rupees ultimately. और हमारा जो maximum loss that we had planned to incur was also 3,000 rupees. तो हमारा decide हो गया. What is the quantity now you will be trading for this particular thing? If the margin requires is 30,000 rupees, you can afford to trade 3 lots. That is the maximum your capital will allow. You can trade 3 lots. But should you be trading 3 lots? Or how many lots should you be trading? एक लॉट में हमारा 30 रुपए का नुकसान हो रहा है, और into 100 is the quantity within that lot. Lot size is 100, so 3,000 rupees the loss. And that is what we had decided. So obviously we don't want to trade more than one quantity. If you trade 3 quantities, your loss can be even 9,000 rupees. अगर हमारी क्वांटिटी 3 गुना हो जाएगी तो 30 इंटू 3 मतलब 90 rupees you're losing. Into 100 is the lot size. So 9,000 rupees is what you can ultimately lose if you're trading 3 quantities. Your margin might be allowing it. Your overall capital might be allowing you 3 quantities, but 3 lots. But the problem is your overall risk management is not allowing this thing to there. Based on your risk management, you don't want to lose more than 3,000 in a day. And for that, only one lot is sufficient. You don't want to trade more than this. Or profit kitna ho sakta hai maximum? Anyone can tell me what is the maximum profit that you can have in a day? In this one trade, we saw the risk reward. Can anyone tell me what is the maximum profit that you can make? Risk reward was 1:2. If you're losing 3,000 rupees, you are winning 6,000 rupees. This is how you plan your trades. First thing is you need to know what is your maximum loss on your portfolio. Fine, maximum loss. Second thing you need to know is your risk reward ratio. कि हमारा 1:2 का रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशो है, उसके साथ में हमारा स्टॉप लॉस यहाँ पे आता है. And based on this and the lot size, you can decide कि कितना quantity trade करना है. Otherwise, if you're doing 3 quantities which your capital is allowing, you will be subjecting yourself to much greater loss. और अगर ऐसा चलता रहा तो 10 गलत ट्रेड हुए और हमारा सारा capital will be wiped out. Our entire capital will get wiped out if you have 10 straight losses. और अगर ये कर रहे हैं, if you are using this strategy of only 3,000 rupees maximum loss, how many trades you need to go wrong? Maximum, if you keep going wrong for 33 times continuously, then there's going to be a problem. Your entire capital will get wiped out if you lose 33 times in a row. अब इतनी भी बुरी बदकिस्मती नहीं है अपनी, किसी की भी इतनी नहीं होगी कि 33 times you're losing continuously. That is quite difficult to imagine. Somebody losing 33 times in a row. इतना तो I think वो लकी भास्कर भी नहीं था. तो whatever you the worst comes to worst, you'll be losing maybe 8 out of 9 times, 8 out of 10 times, or 7 out of 10 times. That's the worst possible. अगर हम रैंडम एक तुक्का भी मारते हैं, if you just toss a coin कि head जाएगा tail जाएगा, the probability is 50-50. Similarly in markets, if you're trying to do it randomly, even then the chances are at least 30-40% that you will be right. So this gives us enough time. I am coming to you, Anu. So this gives us enough time to become a profitable trader. If you have these 33 opportunities, you have sufficient time to become a successful trader. अगले 10, 15, 20 trades के बाद, you will start realizing what is the main mistake that I'm making and how do I start correcting the mistake? What is the strategy I need to employ? This will only come with experience and time, but the best way to start is to keep your losses limited. And for this, you'll have to plan your quantity in advance and you'll have to plan your trades in advance. Okay, Anu, you had a question?
Yes, sir. Sir, if we put the stop loss on 10 rupees on each of the lot, if we are putting up 3
Yes.
lots,
Yes.
then again that will be the loss maximized will be 3,000 only. If we, so how can we
No,
decide that?
okay. Exactly. Right. I got your point. She's saying that instead of keeping a 30 rupees stop loss, you keep a 10 rupees stop loss. Then you can increase the quantity to 3. But the problem is this, you will not decide your stop loss based on your quantity. You will decide your quantity based on your stop loss. अगर हम ये कर रहे हैं ना, what you're saying is we choose a quantity of 3 and we choose the stop loss accordingly. लेकिन वैसे नहीं होता. You have to look at the maybe charts or whatever, on whatever basis you are doing your trading. You have to make a strategy. हमने चार्ट देख करके देखा था कि मे बी वहां पे सपोर्ट था, 30 रुपए के नीचे सपोर्ट था. सो दैट्स वेयर यू कीप योर स्टॉप लॉस. यू डोंट कीप योर स्टॉप लॉस रैंडमली कि हाँ हमारी क्वांटिटी हमें 3 करनी है तो उसके हिसाब से स्टॉप लॉस 10 का हो जाएगा, तो वो तो हिट ही हो जाएगा. दैट विल बी हिट वेरी इजीली. If you keep a 10 rupee stop loss, the chances are very high that it will be definitely hitting your stop loss. So you can do either of the things, but it's much more recommended, more sensible that you decide your quantity based on your stop loss instead of deciding your stop loss based on your quantity. ठीक है, तो पहले हमें बताना चाहिए हमारा मैक्सिमम पॉसिबल लॉस हम लेना कितना चाहते हैं. जितना भी कैपिटल है उसका मे बी 1-3% डिपेंड्स ऑन द अमाउंट ऑफ कैपिटल यू आर हैविंग. किसी का 1 करोड़ का कैपिटल है तो वो 1% भी ज्यादा है उसके लिए, पर अगर किसी का 1 लाख का कैपिटल है तो हो सकता है 3% भी चल जाए. फाइन, दैट्स द फर्स्ट थिंग, मैक्सिमम लॉस दैट इज एक्सेप्टेबल टू यू, मैक्सिमम एक्सेप्टेबल लॉस. देन यू हैव द रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशियो. चार्ट्स पे देख करके, अपनी स्ट्रैटेजी को देख करके यू डिसाइड कि ये मेरा टारगेट है, ये मेरा स्टॉप लॉस है. अब ये भी एक प्रॉब्लम है कि इफ यू हैव अ लेट्स से स्टॉप लॉस ऑफ ओनली you have a stop loss, a very big stop loss. अभी यहाँ पे दिखाता हूँ, I'll just show you on the chart to make things clear. This is one more problem that you can face. Let's say again we have this, we increase the stop loss. We want to be very careful कि जल्दी से stop loss hit ना हो. तो हमने बहुत बड़ा कर लिया. हमने यहाँ पे इतना बड़ा stop loss रख लिया है, तकरीबन let's say around you have kept a stop loss of around 100 rupees. 100 rupees instead of 30 rupees. Now you're keeping a stop loss of 100 rupees. कि hit ही now. Exactly 100 rupees. Now what is your risk reward ratio? टारगेट तो वहीं का वहीं रखा हमने, और अगर हमने स्टॉप लॉस 100 रुपए का कर दिया, what is your risk reward ratio? It is only 0.5. 1/2 से भी मतलब जो प्रॉफिट है इट इज ओनली हाफ ऑफ कंपेयर टू द लॉस. अगर लॉस होगा तो हमारा मे बी 1000 रुपए का होगा, या जब प्रॉफिट होगा तो सिर्फ 500 रुपए का होगा. तो अब इस केस में इफ द प्रॉफिट ऑन एन एवरेज योर प्रॉफिट्स आर मच लेस कंपेयर टू योर लॉसेस, हाउ विल यू बिकम प्रॉफिटेबल? अगर जब भी हमारा लॉस हो रहा है और हमारा लॉस बहुत बड़ा बड़ा हो रहा है और प्रॉफिट जब हो रहा है तो छोटा हो रहा है, तो उसके लिए प्रॉफिटेबल तभी भी हो सकते हैं. इट इज स्टिल पॉसिबल टू बिकम अ प्रॉफिटेबल ट्रेडर विद अ वेरी लो रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशियो, बट देन योर स्ट्राइक रेट और ये सक्सेस रेट हैज टू बी वेरी वेरी हाई कि 90% ट्रेड्स मेरे प्रॉफिटेबल होने चाहिए, तब मैं ओवरऑल आई बिकम प्रॉफिटेबल. So that is one more thing I want to talk about, which is risk reward ratio and strike rate. कि what is your strike rate? हमारी स्ट्रैटेजी का रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशियो अगर 1:2 है, मतलब कि 1 रुपए का अगर मेरा लॉस होता है तो मैं 2 रुपए का प्रॉफिट करता हूं ऑन एन एवरेज, और स्ट्राइक रेट इज अराउंड 50%, देन यू कैन बी क्वाइट सक्सेसफुल. क्योंकि हम जब लॉस हो रहा है तो हमारा 1 रुपए का हो रहा है, जो प्रॉफिट हो रहा है 2 रुपए का हो रहा है, 50-50 टाइम्स हो रहा है. 50-50% इज द स्ट्राइक रेट, द परसेंटेज टाइम्स यू आर सक्सेसफुल. लेकिन अगर हमारा उल्टा है, हमारा लॉस 2 रुपए का हो रहा है और प्रॉफिट 1 रुपए का हो रहा है, 2:1 इज योर रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशियो, देन देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ प्रॉब्लम विद अ 50-50% स्ट्राइक रेट, क्योंकि हमारा लॉस डबल हो रहा है. So these two things you will realize only with time. जब हम when you get into trading stocks and investing also, you will start realizing कि हाँ, these are two things which matter a lot. अगर हमारा जो भी स्ट्राइक रेट है और जो भी रिस्क रिवॉर्ड रेशियो है, these will ultimately decide whether you are a profitable trader or you are a loss making trader. अगर हमारा एवरेज लॉस बहुत बड़ा होता है कंपेयर टू एवरेज प्रॉफिट, तो प्रॉफिटेबल बनना थोड़ा मुश्किल है. देन यू विल हैव टू बी प्रॉफिटेबल 90% ऑफ द टाइम. स्ट्राइक रेट हैज टू बी मोर देन 90% फॉर यू टू बिकम प्रॉफिटेबल. अदरवाइज अगर उल्टा है, इफ योर प्रॉफिट्स आर जनरली 2 times or 3 times more than the losses, and even if you are profitable 40% of the times, you can still be become on an average you can still become a profitable trader. Now, where is risk management fitting in this entire puzzle? Risk management का क्या रोल है? इतना ही रोल है कि ये हमें enough opportunity मिले so that we are able to stay in the market. We are able to stay on the ground to be able to score enough runs. If we don't, if we get out very, very early, then obviously who will score the runs? You will have to stay on the pitch to be able to score. हो सकता है अभी you're maybe batting like Rahul Dravid, very, very conservatively, you're not making many runs, but ultimately when you start learning and your strategy improves, that is when your batting average, your risk reward, everything will start improving and you will become much more profitable. ठीक है? Any doubts, any problems, anyone else has a problem in this? Any problem in this? It's very, देखो बहुत simple है इसका. Only reason why we are using this risk management is for us to get enough opportunity in the market. If we get out in 4 trades only, अगर हमने हर ट्रेड में 25% कैपिटल अपना रिस्क कर दिया, we are ready to risk 25,000 in every single trade, and 4 trades go wrong, how much capital did you lose? You lost your entire capital. But if you are losing 3,000 rupees every single day, on every single trade, you have 33 opportunities. अगर 33 बारी एक साथ गलत हुआ, then you are out of the match. Otherwise, you are still there. You are still going to, हो सकता है capital थोड़ा कम हो जाएगा, लेकिन फिर भी you will have enough opportunity to bounce back and to survive. Is this useful? Is this useful for everyone? Just let me know. Are you understanding? Are you able to understand?
Yes,
Because
yes.
yes, let me just tell you one more interesting thing. Again, practically quite useful. Very, very useful thing. Let's come to this. If you have a loss of 10%, can you tell me how much return you need to be to break even? How much returns do you need to break even? If you have a loss of 10%, how much percentage returns do you need to break even? Anyone? Lakshay? If you have a loss of 10%, how much percentage you need to break even? Ravi?
110 by 9.
110 by 9. Okay. हमारे पास 100 रुपए थे, 10% का लॉस हो गया, कितने बचे? 90 रुपीज बचे. अब 90 से वापस 100 पे जाना है, 90 से 100 पे जाना है, तो कितना
10
परसेंट हमें 10 रुपए का रिटर्न चाहिए? सो 10 रुपी ऑन एन इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ 90 रुपीज into 100, which is around 11%. ठीक है?
11%, sir.
11% ना approximately. So if you have a loss, see, this is what we are discussing right now can completely change your entire outlook. ठीक है? Loss of 10%. You need 11% to break even. Now tell me, if you have a loss of 50%, how much returns and how much percentage returns you need to break even? Yes? Anyone? What are the percentage returns you need to break even? 50% का लॉस हो गया तो 100 पे थे, 50 पे आ गए. अब हम तो हमें चाहिए फिर से 50 रुपए चाहिए ऑन एन इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑफ 50 रुपीज. 100% returns.
100%, sir.
100%. And now let's take 90% loss. If you lose 90% of your capital, how much percentage returns do you need to break even? 100 रुपए पे थे, 10 रुपए पे आ गए. So you need 90 rupees on an investment of 10 rupees.
900%.
900%. So see the difference? If you lose 10%, you are going to require 11% to break even. But if you lose 50%, you're going to require around 100% to break even. If you lose 90% of your capital, you require 900% just to break even to come to your original position. तो इसीलिए इससे क्या, what is the final inference or final conclusion out of this? इसका conclusion क्या है? What do you infer out of this entire calculation? Losses should be very limited. अब ये प्रॉफिट हो या ना हो ये हमारे हाथ में नहीं है. यू कैन डू योर एंटायर एनालिसिस, फंडामेंटल्स कर लिया, टेक्निकल्स कर लिया, लेकिन फिर भी प्रॉफिट होगा नहीं होगा, इट्स नॉट इन आवर हैंड. बट व्हाट इज अंडर आवर कंट्रोल? द लॉस इज अंडर योर कंट्रोल. प्रॉफिट होगा नहीं होगा, कब होगा, इज कंप्लीटली बियॉन्ड आवर कंट्रोल. लेकिन अगर हमने 100 रुपए का स्टॉक खरीदा है और वो 90 रुपीज पे आ रहा है, तो एग्जिट करना ना करना तो हमारी चॉइस हुई ना.
Yes, sir.
So where you place your stop losses is actually your choice. And placing the stop loss and also executing the stop loss is one more thing. कभी कभार हम क्या करते हैं, हमने mentally we have made up our mind कि हाँ 90 पे हम sell कर देंगे अगर गिरा तो 90 तक. But when it happens, you have this feeling कि हाँ I have an intuition, gut feeling कि वापस आ जाएगा. 100 पे आएगा तो निकाल देंगे वापस से. तो sticking to your rules, firstly making your rules and secondly sticking to your rules is equally important. And losses should be very limited. So your SL or your stop loss should be close. ऐसा नहीं कि हमने 100 रुपए का शेयर खरीदा और हमने 50 रुपए का स्टॉप लॉस लगा दिया है. कर सकते हैं. If you're a very long term investor, if you're building a retirement portfolio for the next 30-40 years, that can be done. But usually for most people, don't unless you are a really long term investor, you should not keep such big stop losses. कि 100 रुपए का शेयर खरीदा, 40 रुपए पे स्टॉप लॉस लगा दिया, 30 रुपए पे स्टॉप लॉस लगा दिया. दिस शुड ओनली बी डन इफ यू आर अ लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर. यू आर लाइक वॉरेन बफेट कि हमें फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता अभी क्या चल रहा है, हमें सीधे से आगे 30 साल बाद देखना है. देन इट इज ओके. Then it is fine कि ठीक है, you are keeping your stop loss at maybe 30 rupees, or you're not even keeping your stop loss कि चलो 0 पे भी आएगा हमें फर्क नहीं पड़ता, because you've diversified or you have other assets also. But for most people, this is not a good approach. Try and keep your stop losses limited as possible, because this is the funda. If you lose 10%, you need 11% to recover. If you lose 50%, you'll require around 100% to recover. If you lose 90%, then 900% returns would be required to recover. और 900% लाना इतना आसान तो है नहीं. हाँ, सबको पता है स्टॉक मार्केट में कितना 15% का रिटर्न मुश्किल से मिलता है. Excuse me. Okay. This is another interesting zone. First thing that we were discussing was related to, हमने 3 चीजें अभी तक, we have discussed 3 main points till now related to risk management and trading. First is diversification. कि don't put all your eggs in the same basket. That is the first point that we were discussing to reduce risk. Second point that we were discussing was position sizing. Was the second point. And this is the third point. Isko bhi, let's put it in the same slide only. Third point.
Not able to see the slide.
Okay, sorry. Let me just share this. Okay. These are 3 things that we have discussed till now. First is the importance of diversification. इसमें सिर्फ number of assets is important, but more important is the correlation between the assets. Positive correlation is not going to help you so much when it comes to risk reduction and diversification. Second thing we spoke about is position sizing. You decide your maximum acceptable loss. You decide your risk reward ratio and your strike rate. And finally, on the basis of this, you have your stop loss, and ultimately it will help you in your proper position sizing. And the last thing is losses should be very limited. Stop loss should be as close as possible. As I mean, if it's too close, then obviously you will keep hitting your stop losses all the time. It has to be and depends on your approach, depends on your time frame. Agar if somebody is a long term investor, they will be using maybe daily charts. If somebody is a day trader, they'll be using 15-minute or 5-minute charts, and then accordingly your stop losses will be varying a lot. If you're a short term trader, then your stop losses would be much closer. If you're a long term investor, then your stop losses would be much further from your entry point. Okay, any problem in this? Something that is not clear? If there is, then let me know right now. Let's take a break for 5 minutes, then we'll continue. We'll try and finish the role of risk management when it comes to trading, especially in stock markets. So we'll conclude that. Give me 5 minutes. You also take a rest for 5 minutes, then we'll continue with this. ठीक है, लास्ट पॉइंट पे आ जाते हैं. That is one more very critical point. Let's say we start with an initial trading capital of 1 lakh rupees. You're starting with 1 lakh rupees and you're lucky enough. तुक्के लग गए starting में बहुत सारे और you start becoming profitable from day one. Very unlikely. For most people, it's the opposite way. You start with losses, you lose your capital 1 or 2 times, and then maybe in the third, fourth time, you start becoming profitable. So that's how the journey for most traders actually is there. But assuming you become profitable, whenever you, maybe in the first try, maybe in the second try, whenever you start becoming profitable, your capital rises from 1 lakh to 2 lakhs. Then you increase your quantity, you start trading more aggressively. Then from 2 lakh, it goes to 4 lakhs. Then you increase your quantity further. From 4 lakh, it becomes maybe 10 lakh rupees. So ab 10 lakh के में obviously you have more capital. You're trading more aggressively. तो पहले शुरू में अगर 1 लॉट कर रहे थे, Like we saw right now for gold petal, you were maybe dealing one lot. You started increasing the lot size by 10 times. जितना भी था crude oil का जितना भी था, you have now increased everything by 10 times. Obviously, your capital has gone up from 1 lakh to 10 lakh. You have increased the capital to 10 times. And your position size has also gone up by 10 times. तो अब 10 लॉट में डील कर रहे हैं तो लॉस भी 10 गुना बड़ा हो सकता है. जब 1 लाख से 10 लाख आए तो मे बी हमको लग गया 4-5 साल लग गया वहां तक पहुंचते पहुंचते, या 2-4 साल लग गया जितना भी. सो इट टुक यू मेनी इयर्स टू गो ओवर देयर, बट देन यू स्टार्टेड डूइंग 10 लॉट्स, and from 10 lots you had a very big loss. You had a loss obviously because it was 10 times bigger, so you had a loss of maybe 3,000 की जगह अब 30,000 से भी बड़ा हो रहा है, या फिर एक मे बी 1 लाख का लॉस हो गया. 1 लाख का लॉस हुआ, 9 लाख का हो गया, फिर वहां से थोड़ा और लॉसेस हुए. सो यू कंटिन्यूसली हैड अ फ्यू मोर लॉसेस. तो अभी तक अच्छा टाइम चल रहा था. फाइनली यू हैव योर गोल्डन स्ट्रीक हैज एंडेड and you are making losses now. तो अब 10 लाख से वापस we have gone down to 5 lakh. तो जाने में ऊपर जाने में इतना टाइम लगा, it took you multiple years, but falling did not take so long. Going from 10 to 5 lakh was relatively simpler, and it took you hardly a few months to go from 10 lakhs to 5 lakhs. अब वापस से now you're trading with 5 lakh capital. With that 5 lakh capital, do you think you'll again be able to come up to 10 lakh in these 3 months? Or will it take less time or more time? What do you think? If you have gone up, I'll repeat the question once again. You started trading with the initial capital of 1 lakh rupees, and you were lucky. Your strategy was working, everything was working fine, and you ultimately went up from 1 lakh to 10 lakh. It took many years. It took you 4 or 5 years to go from 1 lakh to 10 lakh capital. अब 10 लाख में क्वांटिटी 10 गुना हो चुकी है, so your loss is also going to be multiplied by 10 times, and you in the next 1 or 2 months you fell from 10 lakh to 5 lakh once again. अब 5 लाख पे क्वांटिटी फिर से आधी हो गई हमारी. 10 लाख से it's gone down to half. So what do you think? It will take you the same time to go back to 10 lakh? The time it took for you to fall from 10 to 5, will it take the same time to go from 5 to 10? Or will it take less time or more time?
It will take more time.
It will take more time, no? Why will it take more time? Pradeep, why will it take more time?
Sir, because now our capital is 5 lakh from 10 to 5. So now we can take
Exactly.
less and
Yes, exactly. That is the thing. अगर हम एक quantity से we were now dealing in 10 lots, and again we have fallen to 5 lakh rupees, we are dealing in 5 lots once again. तो अब 10 लॉट पे जो लॉस हो रहा था वो बड़ा हो रहा था, 5 लाख पे फायदा जो होगा वो कम होगा. So it took you 1 or 2 months to fall from 10 lakh to 5 lakh. Now it has taken you another 1 or 2 years to go from 5 lakh to 10 lakh. Now how to solve this problem? ये तो हर बार ही होगा जब भी हमारा कैपिटल बढ़ेगा. Then you go from 5 to 10. You have gone, it took you 1 more year to go from 5 to 10. And it took you a few more years. You were again lucky. It took you one or 2 more years to go from 10 to 20. So you've gone to 20. अब फिर से एक और लॉस हुआ तो 20 में 20 you're not dealing in 20 lots. It will again take you back to 10 lakh within a few months. And from 10 to 20, again going back to 20 will take you multiple years. So this cycle will keep on repeating unless you solve this issue. तो ये प्रॉब्लम तो बहुत मेजर प्रॉब्लम है, ये हमेशा होती रहेगी. How will you tackle this issue? Anyone has a solution for this?
you can take leverage.
You can take leverage. Leverage तो उतना ही मिल रहा है ना. अब leverage, let's say leverage हमें 5 गुना का मिल ही रहा था. You were dealing in F&O or you were doing intraday trading or something, and you were getting leverage of already 5 times. 1 लाख हमारे पास जब 20,000 रुपए थे हम 1 लाख की ट्रेडिंग कर रहे थे. जब 1 लाख थे तो हम 5 लाख की ट्रेडिंग कर रहे थे. जब 5 लाख थे, जब 2 लाख थे तो हम 10 लाख की ट्रेडिंग कर रहे थे. This was all including leverage. कितना अमाउंट में हम ट्रेडिंग कर रहे थे. 10 लाख की ट्रेडिंग कर रहे थे, 5 लाख की कर रहे थे, जो भी करते was including trading, assuming everything is including trading. So how do you solve this issue? Yes.
Using stocks.
Yes. How will you solve the question, Pradeep? ये तो बहुत मेजर
So we
प्रॉब्लम है. Yes, what is the solution?
So we diversify our portfolio.
डाइवर्सिफाई, ओके। तो लॉट्स, तो जितने भी लॉट्स हैं, कैपिटल तो आधा हो गया ना। जब कैपिटल आधा हो गया तो रिकवर करने में ज्यादा टाइम लगेगा। इट टुक यू 2 months टू फॉल फ्रॉम 10 to 5 एंड इट टुक यू 1 year अगेन टू गो फ्रॉम 5 to 10। तो ये तो हर बार ही हो रहा है, दिस साइकिल इज रिपीटिंग अगेन एंड अगेन। डाइवर्सिफिकेशन से कैसे हेल्प होगा? वो तो अल्टीमेटली कैपिटल तो कम ही हो रहा है ना। अगर गिर रहे हैं तो जल्दी गिर रहे हैं क्योंकि साइज बढ़ चुका है, कैपिटल बढ़ चुका है, और जब बढ़ रहे हैं तो बहुत धीरे से बढ़ रहे हैं। हाउ टू सॉल्व दिस इशू? ये तो दिस इज अ वेरी मेजर चैलेंज। हम हर बार ही होगा कि हम किसी तरीके से 1 से 10 तक पहुंच गए, लेकिन 10 से 5 बड़ी जल्दी हो जाएगा, और 5 से 10 होने में फिर से टाइम लगेगा, फिर 10 से 20 होने में टाइम लगेगा, और 20 से 10 वापस हो जाएगा बड़ी जल्दी। सो गोइंग
छोड़ देना
अप
चाहिए
इज
सर
वेरी
ऐसा
वेरी
काम।
स्लो। लक्ष्य, यस।
छोड़ देना
व्हाट
चाहिए
इज
सर ऐसा काम।
छोड़ देना चाहिए। यस, छोड़ देना चाहिए। ये तो हर बिजनेस में भी यही प्रॉब्लम आएगा। इफ यूर एनीवन वांट्स टू बिकम एन एंटरप्रेन्योर, सेम थिंग विल हैपन ओवर देयर। अभी कैपिटल अच्छा, मतलब थोड़ा बहुत बिल्ड हो रहा है धीरे धीरे करके, और जब कैपिटल बड़ा हो गया तो आपने इन्वेस्टमेंट्स किए, अपना मैन पावर और हायर किया, अपना एक दो मॉल में शॉप ले ली, कुछ भी, यू हैव डन लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स विद द कैपिटल। और जब लॉस हुआ तो वापस वहीं पे आ गए उतने कम कैपिटल में। यू माइट हैव टू क्लोज डाउन हाफ योर स्टोर्स, या और यू माइट हैव टू फायर हाफ योर एम्प्लॉइज। तो ये हर बिजनेस में यही चैलेंज आएगा। वंस द कैपिटल इज, इट विल टेक अ लॉन्ग टाइम फॉर इट टू ग्रो। वेरी ग्रोथ इज वेरी वेरी स्लो एंड पेनफुल, but falling is very very quick, pain and much more painful than the growth. So tell me, what is the way?
लेकिन
How
वहाँ
do you solve
स्ट्रेटेजी
this
चेंज
issue?
करनी पड़ेगी ना।
क्या स्ट्रैटेजी? वही तो मैं पूछ रहा हूँ, व्हाट शुड बी द स्ट्रैटेजी?
कुछ नहीं, आप अगर आप बड़ी अमाउंट में डील कर रहे हो तो आप लोन लो और ज्यादा पैसे लगाओ, ज्यादा रिटर्न लो। इफ यू नो कि हाँ इतना 50% का रिडक्शन आना ही है,
ये सारा हम
देन
अज्यूम
अर्न।
कर रहे हैं, ये लोन के साथ है। वी आर अज्यूमिंग एवरीथिंग इज विद लोन। जब हम 1 लाख का ट्रेड कर रहे थे, या 5 लाख का कर रहे थे, या 10 लाख का कर रहे थे, एक्चुअली हमारे पास कैपिटल 150 था, बाकी सारा लोन ही है एक तरीके से। दैट इज जो मार्जिन रिक्वायरमेंट होती है, दैट इज यूजुअली 1/5 ऑफ द एक्चुअल कॉन्ट्रैक्ट साइज। ठीक है, तो बाकी हम लोन में ही कर रहे हैं सब कुछ। एवरीथिंग इज बेस्ड ऑन लोन राइट नाउ। सो व्हाट इज द वे टू सॉल्व दिस इशू? जब ग्रोथ हो रही है तो बहुत स्लो हो रही है, और गिरने में बड़ा कुछ टाइम ही नहीं लगता एकदम से। इट इज लाइक स्नेक्स एंड लैडर्स, यू नो। स्नेक्स, इफ यू आर गोइंग अप विद द लैडर मिलना बहुत मुश्किल है, स्नेक बड़ी आराम से मिलता है। एंड देन यू कैन गो डायरेक्टली फ्रॉम 98 to 0 और 1 or 2, है ना? वो बहुत, दिस इज द सेम इशू विच इज देयर इन ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ बिजनेसेस। Anyone has a solution? The solution I'm telling you lies in risk management. कैसे करेंगे इसको सॉल्व? प्रॉब्लम इज दैट ग्रोथ is
That
slow due
let's
to limited
on
capital,
our
but fall is fast due to higher capital, due to greater capital. इसको कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे? Anybody has the answer? What is the way to solve this?
sir, we take less risk on our trades. We
Less risk.
reduce
Yes,
capital.
that is the answer. How do you take less risk?
So like fixing our risk to suppose 5%, 1 or 2%, which you said we can.
Okay. Okay.
If we are
Correct.
coming 10 to 5, so we will reduce it more.
ओके
Yes, you are in the right direction. एकदम you are going in the right direction. रिस्क को रिड्यूस करना है हमें। रिस्क रिड्यूस कैसे होगा? कि जब हमारा कैपिटल लेट से 1 लाख से 5 लाख बढ़ रहा है, और 5 से 10 बढ़ रहा है, और 10 से 20 बढ़ रहा है, तो हम क्या कर रहे हैं कि हम बढ़ाते नहीं जा रहे कंटिन्यूसली। यू नॉट इंक्रीजिंग द कैपिटल। लेट्स से हमारे लिए 5 लाख भी काफी है अभी के लिए। तो हमारा जितना 5 लाख का कैपिटल है ट्रेडिंग से, उससे हमारा ठीक ठाक इनकम आ जाता है। लेट्स से 50,000 1 लाख रुपए आराम से बन रहा है, वी आर सेटिस्फाइड विद इट। इट इज गिविंग अस बेसिक स्टेबिलिटी। तो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज, यू कैन कीप योर कैपिटल फिक्स्ड एट 5 lakhs। तो बाकी का, अगर यू आर ट्रेडिंग विद 5 लाख रुपीज, यहाँ यू हैव गॉन फ्रॉम 1 to 5 लाख रुपीज, यहाँ तक पहुंच गए हम, अब यहाँ पे हम अपना कैपिटल को इफ यू नेक्स्ट मंथ यू मेक 1 लाख रुपीज, यू टेक आउट 1 लाख रुपीज, कीप इट इन योर सेपरेट बैंक अकाउंट। तो अभी भी 5 लाख से ट्रेडिंग चल रही है। यू हैव 1 लाख सेपरेटली इन योर बैंक अकाउंट विच इज योर बफर फॉर योर बैड टाइम्स। जब भी बुरा समय आएगा उस टाइम पे वो कैपिटल काम आएगा। तो हमारे पास अगले महीने, अगले 2-4 महीने हमारा 1-1 लाख रुपए का प्रॉफिट हुआ, हमने वो सारा निकाल के हम अलग से रखते गए। और जब हमारा मान लो 10 लाख पे, या मतलब हमारा ओवरऑल मिला करके अभी भी 5 लाख का कैपिटल है, अगर किसी महीने हमारा 2 लाख का नुकसान भी हो गया तो वो हमने 5 लाख जो निकाले थे या 4 लाख निकाले थे उनमें से 2 लाख हमने वापस से डाल दिए। सो यू आर कीपिंग योर कैपिटल फिक्स्ड एट 5 लाख रुपीज। दिस कुड बी वन सोल्यूशन। फाइन, reducing your risk in terms of not increasing your capital exponentially. इंक्रीज कर सकते हैं बट एट अ वेरी ग्रेजुअल पेस। हो सकता है कैपिटल ज्यादा फास्ट ग्रो हो रहा हो, लेकिन यू आर नॉट पुटिंग इन एवरीथिंग एट द सेम टाइम, यू आर कीपिंग समथिंग एक्स्ट्रा फॉर द डिफिकल्ट पीरियड। जब भी ऐसा समय आएगा उस टाइम पे, देन ऑल्सो इन दैट डिफिकल्ट टाइम यू विल अगेन बी ट्रेडिंग विद 5 लाख कैपिटल ओनली। तो ऐसा नहीं होगा कि प्रॉफिट्स धीरे धीरे होंगे और लॉसेस मल्टीप्लाई होंगे, लॉसेस भी धीरे धीरे होंगे और प्रॉफिट भी धीरे धीरे होंगे। एवरीथिंग विल बी गोइंग इन अ कंट्रोल्ड वे। फाइन, does it make sense? Is it logical or no?
बेसिकली
Sir,
पहले
it
हम
does. It is logical.
कैपिटल
But
प्रोटेक्ट
growth कैसे करेंगे?
हाँ, growth कैसे करें? That's an important point. Keeping capital, I'm saying we can keep capital limited by taking out profits and reinvesting during losses. ठीक है, तो कैपिटल फिक्स रख रहे हैं हम, लेकिन इसमें प्रॉब्लम चैलेंज यही है, हाउ डू यू इंश्योर ग्रोथ? इन दैट केस देन यू विल ऑलवेज बी स्टक विद 5 लाख कैपिटल, यू विल नेवर बी एबल टू ग्रो इन साइज।
सर हम अपना जो कैपिटल है उसको प्रोटेक्ट करेंगे, और जहां से इसमें अगर हमें पता है लॉस बियर करना ही है हमें, तो हमको जो भी स्लोली गेन हो रहा है उसको पोजीशन को हम दूसरी जगह होल्ड करके वहां से गेन निकाल सकते हैं, सो दैट हमारा वो लॉस का जो पेस है और जो गेन का पेस है वो थोड़ा बैलेंस हो सके।
ओके ओके, कैन यू गिव मी एन एग्जांपल एंड एक्सप्लेन कि कोई कैपिटल लेकर के जस्ट एक्सप्लेन विद सम एग्जांपल एंड सम एसेट्स, कैसे करेंगे इसको?
सर अगर हमने किसी भी अपना कैपिटल 5 लाख का ही किसी स्टॉक्स में लगा रखे हैं,
हाँ,
वो स्टॉक्स में जो लगा रखे हैं कि कुछ परसेंट हमें लॉस हो रहा है, कहीं से कुछ परसेंट हमें गेन भी हो रहा है, तो जो
यस,
हमारा गेन हो रहा है हमें पता है कि अभी वो उसमें भी टाइम लगेगा, तो वो कहीं जैसे आप बोल रहे हो कि टेकिंग आउट दैट मनी, तो वो हम वहां पे कुछ अच्छे स्टॉक्स में लगा सकते हैं जहाँ पे वो पता है रिटर्न्स अच्छा आना ही आना है।
ओके ओके, हाँ, तो रीबैलेंसिंग योर पोर्टफोलियो कुड बी अनदर
Yes.
सोल्यूशन। गुड, सो रीबैलेंसिंग पोर्टफोलियो इज अनदर सोल्यूशन। लेकिन प्रॉब्लम अभी यही है कि अगर हम कैपिटल निकाल रहे हैं काफी सारा, तो यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू ग्रो एट सच अ फास्ट पेस। 5 लाख का कैपिटल ही है, उस पे अगर महीने का 50,000 का प्रॉफिट होता है तो उतना ही होगा, उससे ज्यादा तो होना बहुत मुश्किल हो जाएगा। यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू इंक्रीज योर अर्निंग्स फ्रॉम 50,000 टू 1 लाख और 2 लाख और 3 लाख पर मंथ जो करना चाह रहे हैं। तो वो उसको करने का द अदर, nobody is saying keep it only at 5 लाख रुपीज, पर अगर 10 लाख बन चुका है तो उसे 5 की जगह 6 कर दो, बट स्टिल कीप सम बफर फॉर द बैड टाइम्स। keep growing slowly, but the growth should be slower compared to the actual profitability. ये मतलब है इसका। It's not saying कि the actual end objective is not to maintain the capital only at 5 lakh rupees. It has to grow over time, but this growth will be slower compared to the growth in the profitability. अगर growth हमारी 5 से 10 लाख की हो रही है तो हमारा capital की growth जो invested capital है that should grow at a much slower rate. This is the solution. क्योंकि जब भी थोड़ा सा बुरा समय आएगा you will have your extra spare reserve funds which you can take out and maintain your same balance over there. और रीबैलेंसिंग तो है ही, अगर कुछ जगह पे ऑलरेडी प्रॉफिट बन चुके हैं तो उनसे निकाल करके जस्ट टेक आउट मनी फ्रॉम दोज एसेट्स एंड पुट इन सम अदर एसेट्स। जैसे अगर किसी ने गोल्ड में इन्वेस्ट किया होता पिछले 2-3 सालों में, अच्छा रिटर्न दिया गोल्ड ने भी, सिल्वर ने भी, तो इतना अच्छा रिटर्न मिल गया है, पहले उस टाइम पे डाल दिया और वहां से अब निकाल के वापस यू आर पुटिंग इन सम अदर प्लेसेस। अब इक्विटीज गिरना शुरू हुए हैं तो कुछ टाइम में यू कैन स्टार्ट पुटिंग इन अ स्टैगर्ड वे इन इक्विटीज। So rebalancing the portfolio is the second way. Any other solution that comes to your mind? One more thing
Sir,
could be, yes,
increase our risk with
yes, Pradeep.
like we have buffer amount within our account, so we can increase
Exactly.
our risk to 3 to
Exactly.
4%.
ठीक है तो जितना भी कैपिटल है उसका 50% से ही ट्रेडिंग की जाए. दैट इज वन मोर सोल्यूशन. अगर हमारा 5 लाख का कैपिटल है तो 2.5 लाख से ट्रेडिंग करो. अगर 10 लाख का कैपिटल है तो 5 लाख से ट्रेडिंग करो. उसको पूरा डोंट डिप्लॉय योर entire amount in the same. Don't even take it out. ऐसा नहीं है कि जरूरी नहीं कि take out everything from your trading account and put in your savings account. You can keep in your trading account as well and only trade with limited capital, only 50%. Deploy, let's say, only 50% of capital in market. Deploy only 50% of trading capital in market. That could be one more solution. तो जब लॉस होंगे तो वो इतने बड़े नहीं होंगे that you will start feeling the pain of it. मतलब it will be under control at least. Fine. Any other solution? मेरे को तो यही 3 ध्यान में आते हैं. These are the 3 main things that I can think of. If you can come up with new innovative solutions, क्योंकि ये बहुत common problem है. जब growth होगी तो बहुत slow, time taking, और जब एकदम से गिरना तो कभी भी हो सकता है. It's quite simple. Recently I was yesterday watching a interview of a trader. He has gone from a capital of 1 lakh rupees to 7.5 crore rupees. Imagine 1 lakh to 7.5 crore. It has taken him more than 10 years, around 10-15 years लगे हैं वो करने में. लेकिन उसके बाद भी he was telling me that not telling me but telling the interviewer that going from 1 lakh to 1 crore took him around 7 years. 7 years going from 1 lakh to 1 crore. And even after that, he suffered his biggest loss in one single year of 25 lakh rupees. तो ऐसा नहीं कि सारे उस टाइम पे भी सारा profitable. If you've learned one thing, it will keep on being profitable for your lifetime. उसके बाद भी he had 1 year where he had a loss of 25 lakh rupees approximately. But still now he recovered from the loss and ultimately made a profit of 7.5 crore rupees. So it is doable. Losses will be there. It's part of life. Not only finance. Even in your personal life, there will be some kind of losses. Loss of health हो सकता है, loss of wealth हो सकता है. Anything can happen. So we should be prepared for it, and risk management will help you prepare for the losses in a more effective way.
Sir, is like generally if our stock is going below the trading price what we have bought on that price, so generally we do averaging of that so that
Yes.
it can not hit us like that.
Hmm.
So is it a good thing to do it?
हाँ ठीक है. तो let's just talk about averaging. एवरेजिंग इज अ वेरी कॉमनली यूज कॉन्सेप्ट, स्पेशली म्यूचुअल फंड में तो बहुत यूज होता है कि जब मार्केट गिर गई है 10-20% गिर गई तो थोड़ा और डाल दो, 30-40% गिर गई तो थोड़ा और डाल दो. दिस इज वन अप्रोच विच इज कॉमनली सजेस्टेड बाय लॉट ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड मैनेजर्स एंड इज प्रमोटेड वेरी इजीली. दिस इज नोन एज रुपी कॉस्ट एवरेजिंग. मतलब कि हमारा अगर अब निफ्टी 26,000 पे थी, हमने थोड़ा बहुत तब डाला. जब निफ्टी 20,000 पे आई तब हमने थोड़ा और डाल दिया. जब 15,000 पे आई तो और डाल दिया. So you are bringing down your average cost. For some people might not be knowing, so that's why I'm explaining. You are bringing down your average cost. हमारा cost 26,000 पे अटका हुआ नहीं है, वो 23,000 पे आ रहा है, फिर 20,000 पे आ रहा है. तो जब भी मार्केट में बाउंस बैक आएगा, जब भी मार्केट रिबाउंड करेगी, तो हमारा वी वोंट हैव टू वेट टिल 26,000 वंस अगेन. जैसे ही मान लो 15,000 तक गया, हमारा एवरेज कॉस्ट 20,000 तक आ गया है, तो हमें 26,000 का वेट नहीं करना पड़ेगा. एज when the market starts going above 20,000, you will be making profits after that. This is the concept known as averaging, which even investors like Warren Buffett also talk about this, कि averaging करना चाहिए. जब अच्छी कंपनी सस्ते में मिल रही है तो लेनी चाहिए, है ना. अगर 2008 का क्राइसिस हुआ था, markets fell by almost 60% from the peak. तो सबको लगा दुनिया खत्म होने वाली है, it's going to a big recession, just like Great Depression, it's going to stay for a long time. And if you were a smart investor, you would be putting in money systematically over that time. और अगले 2 सालों में फिर से मार्केट में ऑल टाइम हाई बन गया था. तो 2 साल ही लगा, 2 साल का पीरियड था, थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट वाला. If you are putting in money regularly, your average cost would be coming down. And whenever the market started bouncing back after 2 years, it took around 1.5, 2 years. Then again, you will start seeing profits. The same thing happened during COVID. COVID के time पे जब lockdown announce हुआ था, in March 2020, markets fell by almost 50%. In 1.5 months, market fell by almost 40%. लेकिन कितना टाइम लगा फिर से ऑल टाइम हाई हिट होने में? Less than 1 year. The same year in 2020, around October, November, it was again hitting all time high. तो ऐसा नहीं है कि हमेशा के लिए मार्केट नीचे ही रहेगी. नीचे अगर जा भी रही है, दैट कुड बी एन अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर अस टू बाय गुड क्वालिटी कंपनीज एट चीप प्राइसेस. अगर फ्लिपकार्ट में सेल चल रही है, अमेजोन में सेल चल रही है, तो हम डर के थोड़ी ना बैठते हैं. we grab that opportunity to buy the best quality things at the cheapest prices. The same logic applies for stocks कि अगर ऐसी कोई सेल चल रही है मार्केट में, तो make use of that opportunity. लेकिन इसमें एक इशू है. There is a big issue involved with this कि सबके पास अनलिमिटेड कैपिटल तो है नहीं, तो कब तक एवरेजिंग करते रहेंगे? मार्केट गिरे जा रही है, तो वी आर ऑल हैविंग लिमिटेड कैपिटल, तो उसको स्मार्टली करना पड़ेगा. ऐसा नहीं है कि कहीं पे भी डाले जा रहे हैं और इन द होप दैट समडे इट विल रिकवर. जापान की मार्केट, आई टेल यू, जापानीज मार्केट इज द ओनली मार्केट which has given negative returns. The market has given negative returns for more than 30 years. 30 साल के पीरियड में किसी ने 1990 में इन्वेस्ट किया होता, निकी जो उनका इंडेक्स है जापान का, अगर इंडेक्स फंड लिया होता 30 साल पहले, 30 साल पहले, तो अभी तक ऑलमोस्ट जीरो रिटर्न होते हैं उसके. इमेजिन, फॉर 30 years ऑलमोस्ट जीरो रिटर्न. सो हाउ लॉन्ग विल यू कीप ऑन एवरेजिंग? कोई 30 साल तक थोड़ी ना एवरेजिंग कर सकता है. वी डोंट हैव सो मच अनलिमिटेड कैपिटल. तो दिस हैज टू बी डन स्मार्टली. और डिपेंड इस पे भी करता है कि आपका टाइम होराइजन क्या है, कि कैपिटल को एक स्मार्ट वे में डिप्लॉय किया जाए, लिमिटेड वे में थोड़ा थोड़ा कर करके. एंड दैट ऑल्सो हैज टू बी डन इन अ स्मार्ट वे. मतलब कि जब मार्केट नीचे आ रही है, तो यू कैन ग्रेजुअली कीप ऑन इंक्रीजिंग योर कैपिटल. ऐसा नहीं कि एकदम से सारा डाल दिया, या फिर तो बहुत सारा एक साथ में कि सिर्फ 4 बाई डाला. कीप ऑन स्प्रेडिंग इट आउट अक्रॉस मल्टीपल मंथ्स एंड ईयर्स. दैट वुड बी अ बेटर वे. और एक स्टॉक में ना करके अगर हम एक बास्केट ऑफ स्टॉक्स में करें, लाइक यू आर डूइंग इट इन अ म्यूचुअल फंड, दैट मेक्स मोर सेंस. क्योंकि म्यूचुअल फंड में सारी कंपनियां तो फेल नहीं होंगी. Out of these 50 companies that the mutual fund is investing in, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 may fail, but the rest will keep on surviving. तो पूरा कैपिटल हमारा गायब नहीं होगा एटलीस्ट. या इंडेक्स फंड में कर दिया, इंडेक्स फंड में भी यही बात है कि इट इज एन एवरेज ऑफ ऑल द डिफरेंट कंपनीज. बट इफ यू आर डूइंग इन वन पर्टिकुलर फर्म, देयर इज अ चांस कि बहुत सी कंपनी होती है जो 100 रुपए से शेयर 2000, 3000 तक चले जाता है, 5000 तक चले जाता है, और वहां से वापस जीरो भी आ जाता है. So this has to be kept in mind. If you're doing it in one particular company, there is a small chance that it may keep on going down continuously and even fall to zero. Although unlikely, but it can happen. और अगर ये एक पूरी इंडेक्स फंड में कर रहे हैं या फिर एक म्यूचुअल फंड में कर रहे हैं, तो डाइवर्सिफिकेशन का बेनिफिट मिलेगा उस टाइम पे रिस्क के पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से. और इस पे भी डिपेंड करता है कि टाइम होराइजन कितना है. इफ यू आर विलिंग टू वेट फॉर द लॉन्ग टर्म फॉर मोर देन 3 to 5 years, देन ओनली डू दिस एवरेजिंग. अदरवाइज इट्स नॉट सच अ सेंसिबल थिंग. अगले अगर हमें 6 महीने में पैसा चाहिए और मार्केट गिरे जा रही है, तो चांस है अभी शॉर्ट टर्म में तो गिरती रहेगी, कि नेगेटिविटी जब तक रिवर्स नहीं होती तब तक तो गिरेगी. तो यू हैव टू बी, इट डिपेंड्स ऑन योर टाइम होराइजन. इफ यू आर अ लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर, देन एवरेजिंग कैन मेक सेंस. इफ यू आर अ शॉर्ट टर्म ट्रेडर, देन ऑब्वियसली it has to be done very very carefully. होता है ना कि अगर कुछ गिर रहा है, if you try and catch a falling knife, what will happen to you? If you try and try catching a falling knife, what will happen to you? बहुत सारा खून आएगा, हर जगह रेड हो जाएगा. Same thing happens to your portfolio. If you're a short
It
term
will,
trader especially, yes, same thing will happen. मार्केट गिर रही है और आप उसे पकड़ने की कोशिश में हो, इतनी तेज गिरती हुई आ रही है, अगर ऊपर से लेट से कोई रॉकेट गिर रहा है, उसको कैच करेंगे तो क्या होगा? द सेम थिंग विल हैपन टू ऑल ऑफ अस. ठीक है, तो आज हमने काफी इंपॉर्टेंट डिस्कशन किया है. वी हैव स्पोकन अबाउट दिस ट्रेडिंग एंड रिस्क मैनेजमेंट. रिस्क मैनेजमेंट थोड़ा अंडर एस्टिमेटेड टाइप का टॉपिक है, अंडरडॉग टाइप का टॉपिक है, जो कि एवरीवन फोकसेस ऑन द रिटर्न्स कि कितना रिटर्न मिल रहा है, 15% मिल गया, 20% मिल गया, 30% मिल गया, लेकिन रिस्क मैनेजमेंट उतना ही जरूरी है, क्योंकि अगर मार्केट में टिक नहीं तो कैसे, हाउ विल यू स्कोर रन्स इफ यू आर नॉट देयर ऑन द पिच, दैट इज द थिंग. Right? Is it? I think it was it useful for all of you? कुछ नया सीखा? Anything? Have you learned anything new? Even if you've learned one or two new points or something interesting that you find useful and can apply in your daily life, I think my lecture has been successful. If even if you're able to apply one of these things that we have discussed. Okay, so that's it from my side. If you have any questions, you can let me know right now. Otherwise, we'll meet again next week.
Which shares you suggest for long-term or short-term purpose?
Which shares?
Yeah, anything like
अभी तो मैं तो ये
ETF
कहूंगा कि right
or
now, okay, okay. अभी तो it obviously the choice of the shares will depend on your risk appetite and a lot of things. Some
Right.
people are more risk averse, some people are not. Depends also on the duration of your goals, depends on your assets and liabilities, your income and expenses. A lot of things will matter in this. What I can suggest is right now, since the markets have been falling over the previous few months, पिछले 2-3 महीने से गिर ही रहा है वॉर की वजह से, तो this can be an opportunity to gradually accumulate stocks. जो भी बड़ी blue chip companies हैं उनमें स्पेशली जो अपार्ट फ्रॉम एचडीएफसी में भी थोड़ा बहुत कर सकते हैं, बट दैट इज अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी. मोस्ट ऑफ द बिग कंपनीज यू कैन इन्वेस्ट इन अ सिस्टमैटिक वे, या फिर इंडेक्स फंड ले लें. इंडेक्स फंड में डू एसआईपी इन अ स्टैगर्ड वे, और चूज अ फ्यू लार्ज कैप फंड्स, अ फ्यू मल्टी फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड्स भी ले सकते हैं. दैट विल प्रोवाइड डाइवर्सिफिकेशन. राइट, फ्लेक्सी कैप फंड्स वुड बी सूटेबल फॉर मोस्ट पीपल, क्योंकि उसमें लार्ज कैप भी है, मिड कैप भी है, स्मॉल कैप भी है. Somebody who's more risk taking can have greater allocation towards small and mid cap. Somebody who's not so much fond of taking risk who, can stick to index fund or to large cap funds. Completely depends from person to person. Sir, it's not so easy to answer कि ये this is the only stock you should buy.
Yeah.
बहुत से है जो कंपनियां try and if you want to focus on particular companies, look at fundamentals and technicals and also your risk profile and accordingly make your decision.
Okay.
Right. So next week we'll meet. I think we'll have a class on Saturday only. I might have to go somewhere. I might be out of station, so I'll let you know whatever is the status of that class next time. But most probably अभी के लिए तो देखते हैं, most probably हो ही जाएगा. If something changes, I'll inform you on the group that the class will not be happening. But otherwise, we'll be having it next week. Fine. Okay. चलो, take care. All the best. See you next time. Bye bye.